Hola clase. En estos momentos me gustaría hablar de un proyecto en grupo que tenemos este semestre que se llama Debates. La descripción de la tarea se encuentra en Moodle y está en inglés, así que vamos a usar el idioma inglés para hablar de este proyecto. So this assignment description can be found on Moodle. It's in the same document as the Noticias Nacionales description and the Relevance Project assignment description. You also have a hard copy in your binder, so if you want to pull it out to follow along, that would be fine. So this is one of my favorite assignments. It's kind of a silly assignment. We'll be having an in-class debate, and our in-class debate will be a little bit melodramatic and a little bit goofy. We will have debates in class in future courses that are more serious on topics that you really believe in. But this particular debate is meant to be a little bit more on the funny side, to allow you to get a little bit of acting in and go all out, be extreme, stand up on the table, preach it, pound your fist. Okay, so let's see here. You're going to be broken up into groups of abogados. The verb abogar, of course, you all know, I think it was a vocab word, means to advocate for, to be an advocate for someone or something. And so the word abogado in Spanish is the term for attorney or lawyer. So you're going to be broken up into groups of attorneys. And it's kind of funny considering where I am right now as you're watching this. Didn't plan it that way. So each team is going to be asked to either defend one side of a controversial statement or oppose a controversial statement in a classroom debate. So you are going to sign up for these groups actually on a Google Doc, so you have a little bit of control over which side of the debate you're on, but it's going to be first come, first served. So your group should do its best to provide as persuasive an argument as possible, whether or not your assigned side of the controversy represents your personal convictions. And that's important because it's very unlikely that you will fully agree in your heart of hearts with either side of this controversy. And so I want, in both sides of each argument are going to be very extreme. So I want you to argue for whatever side of the argument you end up on. Defend that side as best you can, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Okay, the winning team of each debate will receive 1% extra credit added to their final grade. Okay, it's a little bit dark in here, I guess. All right, so our two debates. We are going to have two classroom debates, so we'll have 4 teams of abogados, and we're going to have one debate about alcohol and one debate about animal rights. So you are either going to be on the por team of one of those debates, either in favor of animal rights, in favor of alcohol, or you're going to be on the contra team, against alcohol and against animal rights. And we'll look at that exactly, in detail, what that means, that you're for or against animal rights, in just a moment. So here you can see the sequence of the trial, how it's going to play out in the classroom. The por team of the debate is going to introduce the position. So they have the upper hand, they'll start out, and then the contra team will introduce their position and they'll continue with their first of 3 arguments. Each team is going to present 3 arguments. The por team is then going to jump in after that with their counter argument, so they have to think about what the contra team said in their first point and then argue against it. And then they'll lead into their first point. So they'll make their first point after counter-arguing. And the pattern is going to continue for each of the three arguments. And when both teams have presented their final points and their final arguments, their final counter arguments, the por team will give closing remarks, followed by the contra team's closing remarks. And then the jurado is going to adjourn to make their decision. I will not be on the jury, but it will be a jury of your peers, literally your peers, that will be deciding your fate. So here you can see the assignment components as far as grading goes. You need to have 3 strong main arguments. At least one of the arguments needs to be biblical, and at least one of them needs to not be biblical or be secularly based. Your third argument can be whatever you choose, but there needs to be a mix in there of at least one biblical argument and one secular argument. So any counter-arguments should be handled as eloquently as possible with tactful fervor. So you will have to sorry, I'm blanking. You're going to have to kind of think on your feet because you probably won't know what the other side is going to argue until you hear it. Okay. So the presentation. The presentation of the main points should be engaging, accurate, creative. Feel free to make use of visual aids, but keep in mind that we are at a Christian college. I have had students actually bring alcohol and weapons, like serious firearms, to class before for this assignment, and I really commend that dedication and fervor, but it will make us all uncomfortable if you go that far. So you know, in one example, the students brought a bottle of wine, and they actually poured like glasses of wine for little like communion cups of wine for students in the class, and then wrote on the board, "Don't drink it, it's real." Okay, so that was not appropriate. We're a dry campus. So a very simple solution, if that's something that you want to do, is to bring, you know, sparkling grape juice or something like that. Bring some duck and serve that, pretending that it's alcohol, but please don't actually bring alcohol, okay? The other thing that has happened is that students against animal rights have come in wearing like all camouflage or bright deer hunting orange, and then with like, I don't know if they're called rifles or what they're called, but strapped to their backs. And it's like really happened. Oh, and the students said, "Oh, they're not loaded, Profe." And I was like, well, I can't tell that. So that would make us uncomfortable. So a simple solution would just be dress up in the camouflage and the bright orange, but leave the guns at home, okay? Especially in light of, you know, recent school shootings that have happened, it would just be distasteful. So by all means, bribe the jury. That's absolutely acceptable, to bribe the jury. You can use as many visual aids as you like, but just, you know, be smart with the items that you choose to bring with you for this, okay? Grammar components, there are some specific grammar components that I'm looking for. Let's see here. Each argument should include statements using the subjunctive. So I want to hear the subjunctive in each of your 3 arguments. I also want to hear similar subjective statements but that use the infinitive. So for example, I'll want to hear something that sounds like "Es crucial que sepamos la verdad." And I will also, I will also want to hear examples that use the infinitive. Es crucial saber la verdad. And I want to hear those in each of the 3 arguments. at least one of the main points should include a story that uses both the imperfect and the preterite indicative tenses. Remember that this is a debate that we are going to pretend to take really seriously, but you should absolutely feel free to play to our emotions, use arguments that you don't really believe in, bribe the jury. We're going to pretend that this is really serious, but I want you to feel free to have fun with it, and recognize that you're not going to totally agree with any of the points that you're actually making. Or maybe you will agree with some of them, but you're going to take them a little bit too far. All right, and then individual participation. Everyone needs to be present for the debate. Unfortunately, there's just not a way to make up the points if you end up missing that particular class period for whatever reason. It's worth 5% of your final grade, so it's not like it'll be the end of the world if you get ill or something, but it is kind of a big deal. So do your best to be present on that day. You don't want to let your teammates down as well. Yeah, we're not going to be able to come up with an alternative assignment if for any reason you're unable to make it. I would like you to sign up as soon as possible on this Google Doc. Here it is, and it's available now on Moodle. And you should, if you're in the 8 a.m. class, you are section 1. If you're in the 10:50 class, you are section 2. Please sign up either in favor of alcohol, and if you are on the pro-alcohol team, your position is el alcohol, and make sure you're pronouncing that right. El alcohol siempre es bueno para todas personas, en todas circunstancias. Todos deben beberlo. Niños, adultos, siempre, en todas circunstancias. Por la mañana, por la tarde, en todas circunstancias. Y si tú estás en contra de el alcohol, tu perspectiva es así. El alcohol siempre es malo para todas personas, en todas circunstancias, y nadie debería beberlo nunca. Estas son las dos posiciones. Las dos posiciones. You may not modify these arguments. You need to argue the side of the argument that is expressed on the Google Doc. They're two very extreme sides of the argument. The other argument is about animal rights. Those who are in favor of animal rights believe that los animales deberían tener los mismos derechos que los seres humanos. Todos los derechos que las personas tienen, los animales también deberían tener. Y los que están en contra de los animales dicen que los animales no deberían tener ningún derecho y nunca deberían ser protegidos. Nunca. Bajo ninguna circunstancia vamos a proteger los animales y no deberían tener ningún derecho, ¿verdad? So those are the two sides of the arguments. Please sign up on the Google Doc, first come, first served. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me in the evening, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Gracias. Sorry, one more thing that I forgot to mention, just that we will have some time in class to work on these assignments. You'll definitely have to put time in outside of class as well, but there will be time to work in class and connect with your group and everything. So take a look at the course guide in order to get more details about that. Okay, that's it.